Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
All right, let's talk some baseball, shall we? Brewers. Lots to like about with the Milwaukee Brewers. Another sweep for the Crew, this time against the Nationals. You know, Friday we were talking about, is there a little bit of a trap coming off of a highly emotional, pumped up, energetic series sweep against the Dodgers? How do they follow that up? Would it be a little bit of a trap? Would they? And then you got the All-Star break coming up after that. Would they kind of, take a deep breath and then the Nationals come in and maybe win the series and such? No. Brewers get it done with another sweep. Let's go back to Friday's game. Kind of go through this. An 8-3 victory for the Crew on Friday. Brewers putting up those 6 runs in the bottom of the third. And just going with the combo of DL Hall and Quinn Priester. Priester picking up his 7th win of the season, 7-2, 3.55 ERA. Hall pitching the first 3 innings, and then Priester coming in afterwards to finish it up there. Brewers also getting 10 hits in that game, led by Frelick and Contreras and Durbin, but an 8-3 win to start off that series. And then Saturday's game, I was like, maybe not looking at Brandon Woodruff's home return, his 2nd start on the season. Woodruff going 4 1/3, giving up 2 earned runs, couple home runs, 5 hits, but did strike out 10 in 4 1/3. But kind of looks like it might be the Nationals' day after they put up 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th and then another one in the 9th. What do the Brewers do, though, after being down by a couple? They tie it up. You got to have Mr. Vaughn, this guy, dudes. I mean, a couple hits, 4 RBIs for him to tie that thing up. I mean, and then to walk it off in that game. Just the not giving up mentality that this team has. Getting the job done. It was, man, that was a heck of a game to watch, because it just felt like, maybe, after the Brewers lost that lead in the 8th, and then, in the 9th they added another one in there, it's like, maybe it's going to be that game in this series where they're not able to get it done. No, sirree. No, sirree. Andrew Vaughn with that double, and then to tie it up. And then Caleb Durbin's single on a ground ball that scored Andrew Monasterio for the walk-off. That was a fun win. That was a fantastic win there. And then followed it up with yesterday's performance by Freddie Peralta, another gem from Fastball Freddie, his 6th straight flipping win in a row. Had the no-no going there for a little bit too. He goes 6 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 Ks for Fastball Freddie to pick up his 11th win on the season to improve to 11-4. Jackson Chourio hitting his 16th home run. Terang followed it up with his home run back-to-back. Got to mention the Yelich home run a little bit earlier in the series too. He's up to 19 on the season. So, but just another fantastic outing for Freddie Peralta, who I think is, he is an all-star. He won't be pitching in the all-star game because he started yesterday's game. But his season overall, when you look at it, I think at certain times he's just kind of flown under the radar. And it's nothing from, because of him. It's just, you have the Mizorowski, the Miz factor. You have Brandon Woodruff coming back. And then even the narrative, or it's not really a narrative, but, the injury struggles to the starting staff, especially at the beginning of the season. There's been something surrounding the Freddie Peralta, whether it's been the staff overall with injuries or a young fireballer coming in, young phenom, or the return of Brandon Woodruff. And you just have Mr. Consistent himself, Freddie Peralta, who has just been I think, putting up right now his best season of his career and entering, potential. We'll see how the season finishes off, but I still feel like Freddie might be a trade candidate, this upcoming offseason. I don't know. That could change depending on how the rest of this season goes, and maybe the Brewers kind of put all their chips in for next year. Who knows? But we got plenty of time to talk about that and get to that. But you're talking now 6 wins in a row for Freddie Peralta. July, he is 3-0 with a 1.45 ERA. And that's against games with the Mets and the Dodgers, the first 2 games against the Mets and the Dodgers. So, I mean, he has just been amazing. And when you say he's tied, not just for the National League, but you're talking Major League lead, tied with Max Fried for the most wins by a starting pitcher this year. I think that kind of gets flown under the radar a little bit, just how good Freddie has been this year. Is there still stuff we'd like to see a little bit better from Freddie? Yeah. Maybe like to see that pitch count continue to get, a little bit lower. He's still kind of at times, he'll get to the 5th or the 6th, and he's approaching 100 pitches already. You'd like to see that get down. But, I think we're at the point now with Freddie Peralta, that's just what we're used to with him. And that's just probably his game at this point. Not saying he shouldn't work on that. Not saying that the coaching staff and the pitching staff shouldn't work on that. But I think that's what we just kind of come to expect with Freddie Peralta. That you're going to get a guy that's going to rack up a lot of pitches, and probably you're only going to get 6 innings and maybe a third out of him. That's just who he is. Once in a while, he'll have those games like he did his second start this year going up against the Royals where he went 8 innings, had that pitch count at 97. But those are rare and far in between. But still doesn't diminish the fantastic job and the fantastic season that he has had so far. And he is a big reason, a huge reason, why this Brewers team right now is 56-40 at the All-Star break. The most wins in franchise history before the All-Star break. Think about that. Now, I know some of it's like, well, they don't have a game against the Cubs yet they got to make up, and you could look at other years and makeups and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to get too far into the weeds in that. Like, I don't want to do but, back in the day, they didn't play as many games before the All-Star break, so yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. The fact still remains there's 16 games above 500 into the All-Star break, and this is the most wins that they have ever had entering the All-Star break. And that includes teams like the 2018 team, the 2011 team, or these teams that we had some insanely high expectations or thought, division winners and making deep runs. It's this team, the 2025 Brewers, that has the most wins entering the All-Star break. And given the start that they had to this season, where it felt like, oh crap, getting dominated and shelled by the Yankees. Even that first game against the Royals, it was Freddie's start against the Royals that kind of stopped that bleeding a little bit. But factoring in the injuries that they had to that starting rotation, and then, not replacing Willy Adames with a power bat and kind of a sluggish start to begin the year. The fact that we're here right now, 96 games into this thing, into this All-Star break, and you're talking about a 56-40 Brewers team, it's remarkable, it's amazing, it's shocking, it's fantastic, it's awesome if you're a Brewers fan. If you're a Cubs fan, I hope you're getting a little bit nervous. That they may catch up to you. I'm already looking forward to, not to get too far ahead because we got the Dodgers coming up after the All-Star break and such. But hopefully they get that, they can keep that momentum going. But at the end of the month, when Chicago comes to Milwaukee, talk about a big-time series rolling into the month of August after that. But looking again, at the job that this team has done, the performance that this team has done. I mean, there's so many people you could point the finger to and give them credit for where they're at right now. It's Pat Murphy. It's Chris Hook. You could say Matt Arnold. It's a ton of these players, like Freddie Peralta, like Sal Frelick, Christian Yelich, Mizorowski, Trevor McGill, Uribe, different players. But I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You could say, well, they're still second in the division. Cubs are a good team this year. It's okay to admit that the Cubs are a good team. But did you really think, even before the season started, if we would have said, so we don't know about the injuries to the starting staff, okay? We're talking, let's go back to like February or early March. And we did a bold prediction thing. And if we would have said, this Brewers team will have the most wins in franchise history entering the All-Star break, I don't think too many people would have been agreeing with that. Been like, yeah, love the optimism, but probably not going to happen. And yet, here we are. In a deep National League here, too. Now the top wildcard team. Far from being even over with. Far from being even anything being decided at this point. But it's still just an absolutely remarkable job. And you just got to tip your cap to a ton of people involved in this. And I think with where this team's at right now, even with a 56-40 record, one game behind the Cubs, top wild card spot, we all know what's coming up here in a couple weeks. That's the trade deadline. And that's where you're going to see a lot of fans really paying attention and focusing on whether the Brewers are going to be buyers or are they going to stand pat. Is Matt Arnold going to give the go-ahead, or is he going to get permission to maybe make a couple of moves? Are they going to be move the meter type of moves? Remains to be seen at this point. Don't know. But overall, I mean, we can nitpick some of the issues with this team. Ortiz offensively, power. You look at that stuff, but to stay there 16 games above 500 and the most wins entering the All-Star break in franchise history, that's pretty damn impressive. And it's pretty awesome if you're a Brewers fan. Jacob Mizorowski added to the All-Star team. Your thoughts on that? Here, so I've gone back and forth on this thing. And honestly, I feel like it's, well, how do you view the All-Star game? Now, I will say this. I feel like the Major League Baseball All-Star game is still probably still the All-Star game that means something to players. Like Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything to like the star players. It means the Pro Bowl probably still means a lot to maybe younger players or who hasn't gotten that acknowledgement yet. And financially, it means stuff to players because it's written in their contracts. If you get voted to a Pro Bowl, you get a little bit of a bonus. But in terms of just the honor, the legacy part of it, being selected to a Pro Bowl or an All-Star game, I don't think players really care about that when it comes to the NFL. Basketball, you still get your star players, but I mean, come on. We know how much that struggled. I mean, when you have sports leagues that are continuously trying to change up the All-Star game, the Pro Bowl game, trying to alter it to make it more appealing, you're in some trouble. Hockey has done a great job. NHL has done a fantastic job with it. NBA is going to try to copy that. Will it work? I got some doubts. I'm all about it for them trying it. I think that's the way they have to go for the NBA, like making it a USA versus World thing. I think that's the way they got to go. But I have my doubts it's going to have the same fanfare and be as good as what the NHL did. But baseball, outside of Selig for a hot minute there, making the winner of the All-Star game, getting World Series advantage for their league, you haven't seen a bunch of changes. You've seen changes with like the home run derby and such. But in terms of the actual game, you haven't, and you still see a lot of star players pitch it. It still means something to be the all-star starting pitcher, right? You still have that. So if you look at it from a purist standpoint, it probably doesn't make sense, or you probably don't agree with Misiorowski being selected to the All-Star game because he's only played in 5 games. Maybe you think it's a Ranger Suarez from the Phillies that deserves it more than him because he's been, playing longer this season. He's got more on his resume in terms of games so far this season. So if you look at it from that standpoint, yeah, you probably don't think Misiorowski belongs in it. But if you look at it from a standpoint of like, well, the All-Star game is a game for the fans. It's a game for, drawing attention to our league, to our game. It's a celebration for our game and for our league. Then you're probably like, yeah, Misiorowski deserves to be on there because the guy is drawing attention. They're marketing the heck out of him, Brewers and Major League Baseball, not just the Brewers, but Major League Baseball. You got a starting pitcher who throws triple digits, not just like once in a while, but a ton, mixed in with that ridiculous slider that he throws. So if you want more attention and you want the game's maybe right now brightest stars and most popular stars, his arrow is trending upward. So you're probably thinking, yeah, absolutely. He's one of the youngest stars in the game that's getting a ton of attention and a ton of talk. Why not put him on the All-Star stage so he gets more attention, and maybe other fans who haven't gotten to see him, this is a chance to potentially see this flamethrower. And again, I've gone back and forth on this, and I think ultimately you have to decide for yourself, how do you view the All-Star game? Do you view it still in maybe a little bit of a purist form? I don't know if that's the right word to use, but do you view it in a little bit more of a purist form where, no, he doesn't have a big enough sample size. It's still a game that means something to a lot of people. And I'm glad. Here's the thing, too. Like, I'm glad that there's other players or teams maybe that are upset that Misiorowski is in there, because that means they actually care about the All-Star game. So I'm glad that there's players pissed. I'm glad that there's players upset about this, because that means they care. Like, I don't know if there's too many people in the NFL, if so-and-so doesn't make it, that they're going to be in such an uproar. Because the thing is like, they still might make it, because even if they're 5th on that list, especially if you're a quarterback. But the fact that you got players that are upset, annoyed, whatever, good. Because that means they still care about that game. I'm glad. But if you are of that side, you could still be a Brewers fan and still feel like Misiorowski doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game. You could still be a Brewers fan and still say that. Because maybe you're a little bit more of that. And I had plenty of people over the weekend reach out to me and say, what's going on here? Is this turning into the Pro Bowl with quarterbacks? Where you have a Mitchell Trubisky making the Pro Bowl or a Tyler Huntley making the Pro Bowl. Now, I don't think Misiorowski's to that level, but that's the example that's being thrown out there. It's like, let's go down all the way down the list on the quarterbacks. I think it's a little bit more to the point that Misiorowski is the attention getter. He's a big name right now, and he's a hot name. It's not like they were running out of pitchers to choose from, and that's who they chose. They had plenty of other options. But let's be real. It's the attention. It's the hot item right now. But I also feel like if you're a Brewers fan, take the win. Take it. We talk about small market, and we talk about not enough attention on small market teams and not enough national attention on the Brewers. And for a lot of Brewers fans, it's a frustration for them that, the big networks or the big media peeps like ESPN or such don't give enough love to the Brewers or this, that, and the other thing. Well, here you go. You got Major League Baseball that put one of your brightest stars on the All-Star game in the Midsummer Classic. Even though it's only just a handful of games in there, take the win. It's okay to take the win, too. Get a little bit more attention to your team. Get a little bit more attention to one of your star players. You want that national attention? You want some national recognition? You want a little bit more praise and a little bit more compliments? Major League Baseball just gave it to you. Gave you a little bit of that by putting Misiorowski on the team. Was I surprised he was named? Heck yeah. When I saw that Friday night, I'm like, whoa. But I get it. I understand it. Because, let's face it, it's still a business. It's going to draw more attention. Maybe not a ton more attention, but it's going to draw a little bit more eyes. And here's the thing, too. What are people talking about? They're talking about it right now leading up to it. So not only is he going to be pitching in it, but they're talking about it leading into it. It's a business decision. It's what's the hot item right now. The hot item is Jacob Misiorowski, especially coming off of his latest game, which was against the Dodgers, and he's already gone up against Paul Skeens. He's the hot name. Let's put him in our Midsummer Classic. Let's market him more. Get those eyes on him. Get those dollar signs going, right? It's a bit, but I don't want to take away anything from Misiorowski, though, too, because he is such a talented player. The potential is there. And he's, right now, if he continues this path, the guy is going to make more All-Star games. He's going to make more All-Star games. So, I don't care either way, to be honest with you. I don't care either way because I get both sides. I understand both sides. I understand the business side and getting your big names and your big, attention grabbers out there, and you want to go with the hot players that might make you a little bit more dough or get you a little bit more attention on your product. I get that side. I understand it. But I also get the other side, too, where did he deserve it? Was there other guys more deserving of that? They have a little bit more of a resume than just 5 games for this year. Yeah, I understand that, too. And I agree with it. But I think, as a Brewers fan, I think maybe the tie-breaking scenario for me in this whole thing might be I'm going to take a win when it comes to the Brewers when I can get a win. That's what it boils down to for me. I'm going to take a win. I can't sit here and, once in a while criticize or call out when the Brewers don't get a little extra love, don't get a little extra attention because they're not a big market team, because they're not in New York or because they're in California. I can't sit here and call that out and vent about it and get frustrated about it when Major League Baseball just right now kind of just did that for the Brewers. Like, hey, he's your hot ticket item right now. Let's put him on a world stage and give him a little bit more attention and, in fact, give your team a little bit more attention. So that, to me, if there was a tiebreaker, I'm going to take the win for the Brewers, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Just not. Now, maybe if it was a Cubs player in that, we could be a little bit more critical in that and call it out because that's our rival, and that's what we do in sports, though, right? I mean, of course, there's probably, and to make it a little bit more, it replaced the Cubs player. So it's like, yeah, let's just edge that one in there a little bit more. You replaced the Cubs player, too. So, I mean, if it was Cubs player that only has 5 games in, he makes the All-Star game, sure, we're going to sit there and criticize it and that because that's what we do. That's a rival. We do it every year in every sport. Come on. But it's our team. I'm going to take the W. I'm going to take the win. And I can't wait if he does get on that mound. Let's see Misiorowski on the world stage and impress more people out there. Why not? Why not? Don't apologize for it. Don't apologize for it. You get into a little barstool banter with a fellow fan of another team. Don't apologize for it. Say, I get it. I understand it. I understand both sides. But I'm going to take a little bit of a win when it comes to a little bit of extra attention for the Brewers whenever I can get it from a national sense. Just a little bit more. It's 2025. That's what it kind of all counts on right now. That extra attention, that extra mojo. Give me your Brewers MVP. My pick, I'm probably going to go Freddie Peralta. I think he has been the most consistent starter player for this team all season long. I would love to say Sal Frelick. I would love to say that, but I got to go Freddie. When you factor in all of the injuries at the beginning of the year with the starting pitching staff, he was the stable, the force, the guy in there. And you look at Freddie's career, and he has been pretty darn healthy throughout his career. But you look at the games, all of his games that he's pitched so far this season, the most runs he's given up in any single outing so far this season was against Cleveland on May 12th. 4 runs. 4 runs he gave up in 5 1/3 on 4 hits. Other than that, a couple times, it's been 3. Few 2s, few 1s, couple shutouts. But Freddie Peralta has been pretty dang consistent, pretty dang good all season long. Yes, we all would like to see him get that pitch count down. We don't like to see 5 innings and approaching 100 pitches. We don't like to see, just getting to 6 and at 100 pitches. Of course, that's what we want to see. And, that's kind of been the narrative surrounding Freddie for a big chunk of his career, right? But that's probably just who he is as a pitcher. And that's probably what we just got to get used to. You look at his 3 starts in July. He's riding a 6-game winning streak right now, by the way. But you look at his last 3 starts in July. Back on the 2nd against the Mets. 6 innings, 100 pitches. Dodgers, 6 innings, 98 pitches. Yesterday, 6 2/3, 103 pitches. Of course, we would love to see a lot of 7 innings pitched, or even a little bit more of those 6 2/3 or 6 1/3, and not a lot of those 5s that he has on his game logs here. But overall, with the whole body of work from the first half of the season, I'm going to go Freddie Peralta as my team MVP for the first half. My most surprising player, I'd probably go, you could go Sal, you could go Mizorowski if you want, but yeah, those would probably be some good ones in there. Trying to think. Maybe Isaac Collins. Do you throw Isaac Collins there? Because I'll be honest, how many of us knew who Isaac Collins was or expected anything from him? But, he's had some big hits. Is he a big power guy? No. But he has played some fantastic defense out there for a guy who's kind of a utility player and a guy who has been, asked to play a boatload of time because of injuries and such. But, yeah. Can throw him maybe in there too. Maybe you go McGill. Maybe you go Abner Uribe. Trying to think of some other surprising in a good way. Trying to be all positive here. So, but you can send those on over if you like. So, let's do a couple of texts here this morning. We've got Sal Frelick for a couple MVPs. I appreciate the Sal Frelick votes. So, but as Tim says, he sets up the offense leading off and is a staple now in right field with excellent defense. Surveyor is going MVP too. So, I wish I could go with Sal, but I got to go with Freddie. Tied for the Major League lead in wins, tied with Max Fried with 11 wins for the most across all majors, and just dude is pitching lights out. He's been awesome. and a big-time stable in that starting rotation. I got to give my vote to Freddie. I'd love to give it to Sal, but I got to give it to Freddie right now.